In this video, we're turning broken things into beautiful garden features, borders, pergolas, fence art, and more, using nothing but everyday junk. This is Revive Nature, a channel built on the belief that beauty doesn't need to be expensive, just creative. We've included timestamps, so feel free to jump to the ideas that speak to you most. And if you have questions or thoughts, drop them in the comments. If this inspires you even a little, take that spark and create something real with whatever you have. It starts now. And before we begin, maybe to you, I'm just another voice online. But behind this screen is a real life, a real family. This video isn't made by a studio. It's made with heart, with hands, and with hope. Every like, every comment, every subscribe means more than you know. When you hit that button, you're not boosting numbers. You're keeping something real alive. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing. In a quiet little backyard kissed by the gold of an early autumn afternoon, something magical begins to whisper between the breeze and the blooms. Along a weathered fence, painted in creamy farmhouse white, a row of humble kendi, those ancient clay jugs, stand tall, stacked and angled as if frozen in mid-conversation. But they do more than just stand. They flow. From the top jug, a delicate stream of water begins its journey, cascading from one vessel to the next. Each kendi catches the glimmering droplets, then gently passes them on, creating a soft, soothing symphony of trickles that blend with birdsong and rustling leaves. This is not just a garden feature, it is a living sculpture, crafted from old things made beautiful again. Around the base of the fence, the soil cradles a circle of warm blooming mums, their amber and rust-colored petals dancing in the breeze. Sedum autumn joy thrives here, its plump clusters in shades of blush and bronze echoing the tones of the painted jugs. Between the blooms, the moss-covered rocks glisten slightly from the mist of the flowing water, creating a natural harmony of earth and clay. What once was discarded, broken pottery, leftover fencing wood, junk basin rocks, has now become the highlight of this backyard. Children pause to watch the falling water, hands reaching for droplets. Guests linger longer near the sound. And the gardener smiles, knowing that beauty didn't come from newness, but from the patient joy of transformation. Placed in a corner of the garden where the morning light falls gently and the shadows dance later in the day, this rustic kendi waterfall fence is more than a decor piece. It's a mood, a memory waiting to happen, a tiny backyard escape into calm and charm. And just like that, the garden sings of past lives, new purposes, and the grace of falling water through timeless clay. In the heart of a garden no larger than a parking spot, a path spirals with the energy of a forgotten dream. Not made of marble or brick, but of small, discarded stones, each one lifted from a forgotten corner, scrubbed clean, and reborn beneath a brushstroke. From above, it looks like a galaxy blooming from the ground, a spiral of painted rocks swirling in shades of mustard, seafoam, coral, and sapphire. Some stones carry dots like freckles, others dance with vines or abstract lines. It's a mosaic of imperfection, and it couldn't be more perfect. This tiny spiral doesn't lead far, it circles in on itself, arriving at a modest bench under the dappled shade of a flowering tree. Yet somehow, it invites more than just footsteps. It calls for pause, reflection, a cup of tea and a breath of crisp fall air. Around the spiral, fall perennials thrive like old friends returning for the season. Marigolds, their gold faces turned toward the light, nod between sprigs of lavender and bushy asters in shades of dusk. Japanese anemones sway gently, pale and soft like paper lanterns caught in the breeze. The path is edged by thrifted treasures, upcycled tin lanterns, a chipped teacup turn planter, and a border of rusty bottle caps now painted bright as candy. In this garden, trash is not forgotten, it is celebrated. And every stone tells a story, not just of color, but of care. This spiral was made not for grandeur but for grounding. For the tiny backyards of dreamers, where every inch matters, and every choice sings with intention. A simple walk becomes a ceremony. A place becomes a poem. And as the seasons shift and petals fall, the spiral remains, quiet, colorful, waiting to lead someone inward, or perhaps somewhere new. Tucked into the smallest corner of a patio where feet hardly tread, stands a tower, not of stone or brick, but of memory and bloom. It rises quietly from the ground, a column of upcycled candy, each jug stacked like a whisper upon another, each one blooming with intention. The jugs, once dull and forgotten, now were colors borrowed from cottage dreams, dusty rose, buttercream yellow, mint, and lake blue. Some show painted vines crawling across their surface, others boast tiny daisies or swirling patterns. They are imperfect, yet proud. Each candy holds more than soil, it cradles life. From the top jug, A proud chrysanthemum bursts in hues of copper and gold. Below it, a spill of asters dances like stars scattered across a fading sky. Deeper still, marigolds burn like lanterns, their scent keeping unwelcome guests, mosquitoes, at bay. The tower doesn't stand alone. Around its base, rocks painted by gentle hands nestle like guardians. Ivy brushes the lowest jug. Fallen leaves settle, making peace with the ground. A small bench nearby invites a pause, for coffee, for breath, for nothing at all. This candy flower totem is more than decor. It is a vertical story of renewal. A sculpture from trash. A bouquet in a column. For those with limited space and limitless spirit, it is a solution and an inspiration. It speaks softly of what can grow when love is given to what once seemed useless. And in the cool of fall, when the breeze stirs the hanging mums and the jugs echo with the hum of bees, the totem stands. Tall, blooming, beautiful. A monument to creativity. A celebration of the small. A gift to the garden that fits in the palm of a yard. The garden holds its breath. Every line is intentional. Every stone, placed with quiet reverence. Here, along the winding border of a Japanese-inspired oasis, small lanterns rise like humble monks greeting the dawn. Crafted from old, forgotten stones, flat slabs, rounded river rocks, chipped concrete, they come together to form a lineage of stillness. These are no ornate imports. They are made by hand, by heart, recycled from rubble, shaped by time, and crowned by bowls of clay or salvaged metal. They offer light, not just of flame, but of memory. Inside some, a solar bulb flickers as dusk approaches. Others cradle beeswax candles, their glow soft and golden. Around each lantern, a bed of moss cradles the base, whispering of old forests and distant rains. Japanese anemones bow gently in the breeze, their delicate petals swaying like silk sleeves in prayer. Sedum, plump and blushing, frames the edges with a quiet strength. Nearby, a bamboo spout ticks in rhythmic drops into a shallow stone basin, Shurshurodoshi, the deer scarer, calling awareness back to now. There are no straight lines here, no harsh transitions. Just curved paths, bordered with patience and light. The lanterns guide each step, not to a destination, but to an experience. A reminder that beauty grows not from control, but from harmony. This border, made from trash to treasure, doesn't try to impress. It invites stillness. It reflects the soul of the gardener who sees not waste in a rock, but potential. Not clutter in a jug, but character. And when twilight kisses the garden and the first light inside each lantern begins to pulse, the whole space seems to exhale. In a world of noise, this border is a whisper. In a yard of clutter, it is clarity. In a garden built by hand, it is the heartbeat. Some gardens are tidy, measured, predictable. But this one? It dances. Here, the border is not a boundary, but an invitation. A celebration of pattern and color. A love letter to the imperfect and the handmade. Stretched across the edge of a flower bed like a ribbon of dreams lies a boho rock mosaic, each stone once discarded, now transformed by patient hands and joyful color. Painted swirls echo the winds, feathers flutter across surfaces, and tiny mandalas bloom beneath fingertips. No two rocks are the same. That's the beauty. A fat pebble becomes the sun. A flat slab holds vines in turquoise and tangerine. A jagged shard sings in zigzag lightning bolts. Together, they create a rhythm, a heartbeat along the edge of green. Behind this border, nature plays along. Asters rise in rich purples and dusty blues. Marigolds blaze like tiny suns. Anemones, soft and strange, spill gently over the stones as if trying to read the stories painted on them. In the golden hush of afternoon, the colors seem to pulse. The rocks are warm beneath a hand, and passers-by pause. Children crouch to study the detail. Neighbors ask, "Did you make this?" "Yes, you did." From rocks pulled from rubble. From bottles and bricks broken long ago. From trash you didn't see as trash. This is not just decoration, it's declaration. That art belongs in dirt. That color belongs in corners. That the smallest space can hold the wildest joy. The boho rock mosaic garden border is a frame for your blooms, but also for your spirit. A place where design meets dirt, where nature winks back at you. And every line, every stroke, says, "This is your garden. Let it be bold." At the very edge of the garden, right where the sidewalk ends and curiosity begins, stand the keepers of the front yard. They aren't statues from a store, nor expensive garden gnomes. They're made from kendi, old clay jugs once used for water, now reimagined with love, paint, and a pinch of mischief. One looks like a frog, wide-eyed with a painted grin, sprouting orange marigolds from its head like a royal crown. Beside it, a chubby cat jug with whiskers made from wire and soft lavender growing where ears should be. In the back, a sleepy hedgehog kendi, painted in soft grays, rests beneath a cloak of sedum, its back round and blooming. Each creature is unique, each one handmade, crafted from old jugs, buttons, junk wire, broken spoons, and leftover paint. Their expressions are playful, their colors vibrant, and their presence absolutely magical. The children in the neighborhood call them the clay friends. Parents call them clever. gardeners call them genius. And everyone agrees, they make the front yard come alive. The surrounding space is thoughtfully planted with fall favorites, chrysanthemums in golden yellows, anemones in gentle pink, and the rich textures of ornamental kale. Small painted rocks, some polka-dotted, others striped, dot the ground like confetti on soil. This isn't just decor. It's personality. A garden corner turned storybook cover. A blend of rustic charm, recycling smarts, and joyful artistry. In a world where so many things are thrown away, these jugs found a second life, not hidden, but celebrated, front and center. They remind us that creativity doesn't have to be costly. That beauty can be playful. That even in a small corner, you can grow smiles. And so they sit, watching the street, catching the rain, blooming with the season. Each one whispering, "Welcome. Come play in the garden." Far from the shore, in a quiet little backyard kissed by autumn light, the ocean finds its way home. It begins not with sand, but with stone, smooth pebbles gathered from garden paths and junk piles, painted in colors borrowed from the sea, aquamarine, driftwood beige, seafoam green, and coral blush. Arranged in gentle curves, they form a garden edge that doesn't just define space, it tells a story. Nestled between the rocks or shells, their edges worn and soft. Some are found, others saved from broken decor. Each one finds a new place here, cradled beside painted stones like treasures left behind by retreating tides. Behind the border, the garden breathes with color. Marigolds nod in bright yellow clusters, like the sun itself peeking over waves. Sedum autumn joy blushes pink, while Japanese anemones sway like sea anemones in a current of crisp wind. And there, tucked between blooms and edging, are small details. A clay fish, a miniature driftwood boat, a pebble painted like a compass. The seascape garden edging becomes more than function, it becomes fantasy. A place for memories of salty air, soft sand, and the lullaby of waves. This isn't a garden by the ocean. It's a garden of the ocean, made from what was left behind, and brought lovingly inland. Trash becomes texture. Broken shells become beauty. Rocks become waves. In the morning light, the colors glow. In the evening, they shimmer like wet sand under moonlight. And every glance draws a smile, every visit feels like a tiny beach escape. For lovers of the sea who live inland, for dreamers who miss the tide, for artists who see potential in stone, this is the border that brings the shore to the soil. And here, even the wind smells just a little saltier. In the soft hush of late afternoon, the pergola hums gently in the breeze, not with sound, but with color, light, and scent. Above, rows of tiny kendi hang like charms from the wooden beams, each one painted with care and wonder. Blush pink with gold dots. Soft lavender laced with vines. Cerulean blue kissed by hand-drawn petals. They twist and turn in the wind, catching sunlight and shadow, whispering stories of transformation. Once simple clay jugs used for water, now they've become part of the garden sky. Suspended by twine and hope, they hold more than air. One cradles asters, trailing down like a floral waterfall. Another holds a flickering candle, its glow warm against the wood above. A few spill herbs, rosemary, mint, tiny thyme, swaying with scent and movement. The pergola itself is small, tucked into the backyard like a secret. Vines climb slowly along its sides, reaching for the clay companions overhead. Beneath, a cushion-strewn bench invites pause. A cup of tea. A moment of peace. Around this centerpiece, the garden blooms wildly. Chrysanthemums flare in copper and amber. Sedum stretches in soft pink towers. Japanese anemones wave their delicate hands in the breeze. The ground is soft with fallen leaves, but the air feels bright, alive. These painted kendi charms do more than decorate. They delight. They remind. That beauty hangs in the smallest things. That trash, old pottery, discarded hooks, faded paint, can become treasure in the right light. Neighbors lean over fences to peek. Children call them flying vases. Guests reach up to touch. And every jug sways gently, saying, "You can make magic, too." This pergola doesn't just stand in the garden. It lifts it, skyward, soulward, with every breeze that sets the clay to spinning, and every flower that dares to bloom from the air. Beneath the quiet watch of an old wooden fence, the garden begins to climb, not upward, but inward, layer by layer. Here, in the corner of a modest yard or patio, old rocks rise with purpose. They're not polished, not perfect. Some were once driveway rubble, others river stones forgotten in piles. But now, they form platforms, natural pedestals, each one holding a clay pot like a treasure. This is the language of farmhouse design, simple, sturdy, soulful. No ornate marble, no store-bought stands. Just earth holding earth, stone lifting bloom. The pots vary, some glazed, some chipped, some boldly painted in creamy whites or farmhouse grays. but each overflows with life. Golden chrysanthemums, soft sedum cascading in pink, ornamental kale in royal purples and greens. Herbs peek out here and there, sage, thyme, a proud rosemary sprig. Their scent joins the breeze. The stones themselves are not merely functional. Their rough texture contrasts beautifully with the soft petals above. Moss begins to creep along the lower edges, lending age and wisdom to the scene. Painted rocks and shells, left by children or wandering hands, dot the base like secrets. It's the kind of setup that draws you in, makes you crouch to see each bloom more closely. To notice how a pot leans just slightly. How the shadows dance between rocks at sunset. And when someone asks where you got it all, you say, the rocks. From the side of the road. The pots? Some were gifts. Some were junk. I just stacked them. But it's more than stacking. It's a story. Of reclaiming space. Of lifting flowers high enough to catch the sun. Of turning what's underfoot into what supports. This farmhouse rock pot display doesn't shout. It doesn't sparkle. But it grounds. It frames. It makes the garden feel not just seen, but loved. The garden falls silent, yet something speaks, a whisper, a drop, a rhythm. Tucked into the quietest corner of a small backyard lies a moment of stillness made tangible. A Zen rock basin, worn by time and water, receives each drop from a bamboo spout with grace. The water doesn't rush. It arrives, pauses, echoes, then flows. This tsukubai, simple and circular, was once a discarded stone bowl. Now, it is the soul of the garden. Elevated by recycled pebbles, nestled in moss, surrounded by silence. Around it, the ground is a canvas of intention. Raked gravel in soft spirals. Painted stones with faded kanji symbols for peace, wind, earth. Fall blooms, Japanese anemone, sedum in coral pink, and whispering grasses surround the space like gentle witnesses. Each detail speaks of calm. The bamboo spout was once scrapped from an old curtain rod, now hollowed and bound with jute. The water comes from a small hidden pump, humming softly beneath the soil, its power barely heard. Visitors come here and speak in hushed tones. Even birds seem to pause before chirping. And in this stillness, the world becomes simple. One drop, one breath, one bloom. This is not about show. It is about feel. The weight of rock, the clarity of water, the presence of the moment. It's what happens when trash becomes tranquility, and when a forgotten bowl becomes a fountain of reflection. You sit, you breathe, and the water continues, steady, unhurried, eternal. It's not a pond, not a waterfall, not even a feature. It's a pause made visible. A reminder in stone and bamboo that the most beautiful gardens don't shout. They listen. And in that listening, they heal.